This video has a very special place in my heart because it is dedicated to my fellow redhead. So it's going to be some makeup tips for redheads because I've been a redhead for 28 years and I've been wearing makeup for about 14 of those. It is also going to be some makeup applications. I'm going to do one of my go-to looks and I'm going to try on some lipsticks for you. And then throughout the video, it's just going to be some product recommendations. And no matter what hair color you have, if you're a blonde or brunette, I think only one thing I'm going to talk about is actually marketed towards redheads, but everything else is just a product that I really like. And then whether you are a natural redhead or you dye your hair red, I have a video for you because my friend Savannah, who I've talked about before, she is going to do this same video, but she has the most vibrant dyed red hair. So she's going to do it from a dyed red hair perspective. And Savannah, I think she also has some of the best videos on YouTube for dyeing your hair red and then all the maintenance that comes along with it. So in the description box below, I'm going to link Savannah's makeup tips for redheads and her playlist for all of her redhead videos, but let's go ahead and get started. My first tip is to embrace your natural, beautiful skin while neutralizing redness. And for the longest time, I hated how ruddy and pink my complexion was. So I would buy the most heavy, full coverage foundation, just slap it on like a mask and be like, success, I have covered this redness. As I've gotten older, I like my skin to look like skin. So for me, I like to really find a medium coverage foundation that will help camouflage redness naturally. And I will link down below my most recent foundation routine because I think that aggressive foundation does a great job at camouflaging redness. Another tip that you might like, even if you have more cool toned skin like I do, if you can get a foundation that's just a touch yellow, not too much because you don't want to have to do a ton of blending down your neck, but just a little bit yellow, that yellowness can help neutralize redness. So an example of that is the Cover FX Custom Cover Drops, and these come in pink tone, neutral tones, and yellow tones. And for myself, I got the neutral tone, which you can see when I first apply it to my skin is a little bit too yellow. But once I take my little buffing brush, which I use this little Target one that was in my last favorites video, once I blend that out, the yellowness, it doesn't look too yellow on my skin, but it does help to balance out the redness. And I'm balancing out the redness without having to apply a ton of coverage. So I really like that look. And for today, I mixed the Custom Cover Drops with this little sample I have of the mattifying primer, also from Cover FX. So if you have oily skin, that's an awesome combination. And then a couple days ago, I mixed the Custom Cover Drops with their illuminating primer, and that looked amazing on my skin. However, for me, someone with oily skin, I got way too oily during the day, but if you have dry skin, I really recommend that combination. It's beautiful. My next tip is don't skip the brows, and I know it can be really frustrating if you've tried a lot of products and you can't find a good color match. I have tried, I think, pretty much them all from the drugstore and high end. If you're looking for a brow pencil, the best one that I have found is actually Max Lingering, which is not marketed towards redheads at all, but I really like the look of that brow pencil. And if you're interested, I have a very detailed step-by-step video using lingering and showing you how I get my brows with that. So I'll link that down below, but more recently I bought the Eco Brow in the shade Rita, and this is the one product that's specifically marketed towards redheads. And you can see that in the pot it looks very dark, but once I apply it to my eyebrows, I use a fairly light hand and I really like the look. I apply it with an angle brush and I draw a line at the bottom of my brows and then use the brush to push the product up through them. And then right at the end, I'll switch the brush over to the spoolie side and blend it out so it doesn't look too harsh. But I really think taking the time to find a brow product that works with your shade of red hair is amazing because it really helps to just frame the face. And no matter what kind of eye look, if I'm going really heavy or really light, it just helps the makeup look to look more complete. I'm not huge into contouring and highlighting, but I do like to do it some days, and I have two product recommendations. My current favorite contouring palette is the Kat Von D Shade and Light, and I actually like most of the colors in here, which was a little bit surprising. Of course, my favorite two are the lightest two. I really like to take the lightest contour shade and work that right underneath my cheekbone, a little bit on my jawline, and then right here on my temples. And I blend that, apply it, and then blend it with the brush that you can buy that kind of coordinates with the palette, and I really like that. I'll also some days take a little bit of the pink highlighting shade and apply that to the center of my forehead and blend it down just to bring a little bit lightness and help create some dimension on my forehead. This middle contouring shade is a little bit warm for me to use, anywhere where I want to create a shadow, but I do like to use it on my forehead, and it does create a little bit of warmth, almost like a mix between a bronzer and a contour, which I really like. So if you're fair skinned and you're looking for a contour palette, I think this one is a great option. And then for a true glowy highlight, I don't think it's going to come as any surprise that I love the RMS Living Luminizer. Some days I apply this with my finger and other days I'll apply it with a synthetic brush. Today I use the Real Techniques contour brush, and I just lightly pat the product onto the top of my cheekbones and then gently pat it out. I also like to apply this a little bit above my eyebrow. And then one of my favorite places to apply it is right on my Cupid's bow. And I think this product is one of the prettiest highlighters that I've ever used. And I just really like the natural glow that it gives. I go through phases with blushes. Sometimes I'm really into pink blushes. Other times I like nude shades like Tarte's Exposed, or I'll really like warm colors like Max Gingerly or that Becca blush that I like, maybe Songbird, the one that's really warm, almost orange. I used that shade so many times during the fall. And then more recently, I've been loving this Jane Iredale bronzer in the shade Rose Dawn. And I took my brush today, which is the Real Techniques multitask brush. And I tapped it once into the bronze side and once into the pink side and just applied it all over. And this also works with that RMS Living Luminizer to give me a lot of glow. You guys know that I have a ton of eyeshadow palettes. It's one of my favorite makeup items to buy. And one that I go back to again and again is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. I love this one so much. And I really think it just lends itself for redheads. It has some beautiful finishes. There's some really high shine shimmery shades. There's some matte ones to help blend it out. And I think the colors are perfect for redheads. You get some warm shades, some cool purples and pinks, and also a green in there. So I think this is just a great palette. If you're not really into shimmers and you kind of stick to the mattes, another one I would recommend is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette. And I like this one so much because you get a warm section, a neutral section, and a cool section. And one of my makeup tips for redheads is to consider mixing warm and cool shades together. And I used to think, a makeup artist told me when I was younger, your skin is very cool tone, you can only wear cool tone shades. So I never, tried anything warm. I just thought that wouldn't look good on me. But I found, through experimenting, I really like warm shades. And sometimes I do a whole warm eye look and a warm lip, and I love it together. But my go-to is to mix cool colors and warm colors together. And I was, if you Google like makeup tips for redheads, there's one article that comes up by a famous makeup artist. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but they recommend not doing a gray smoky eye for a redhead. It can just kind of make you look a little bit sallow. But I have found that if you want to do a gray smoky eye as a redhead, go for it. And my one tip would be to take a shade like this kind of peachy color right here at the end of the palette, and just lightly buff out the borders of the gray. And just that tiny bit of color helps to warm the look up, and I think it makes a gray tone smoky eye work really well for a redhead. But today I am going to use the Chocolate Bar palette and do a little bit more of a shimmery look. So I'm going to move the camera up close so I can show you guys how I'm doing it. I already have the matte cream color called White Chocolate applied all over as a base. Now I'm going to take the Furless ME5 brush and I'm going to pick up the color Champagne Truffle. I'm going to apply this shadow all over my lid, and when I first got this in the pan, it looks incredibly pink, but once I actually get it on and apply it, it's a little bit more of that champagne gold color, so I think it's really pretty, and it's one that catches the light really nicely. To add a little bit of dimension, I'm going to use the color Oat Chocolate on a fluffy brush. This is the Furless ME3, and I'm going to start this right here at the outside corner and lightly blend it into the outer V. Right now this look is very cool tone. You have that pink champagne color on the lid, and Oat Chocolate is more of a cool tone brown, and you could definitely leave it like this, but I wanted to show you how I like to add a warm matte transition color. And my absolute favorite shade from this entire palette is Salted Caramel. I absolutely love it, so I'm going to use it on the same fluffy brush and just lightly apply it right above where I put that Oat Chocolate color. For liner today, I used the Tarte Amazonian Clay Waterproof Liner in the shade Brown, which I really like because it's a very dark brown, so you're still getting a lot of color concentration right at the lash line. And then I'm going to do one last thing before I apply mascara, and I literally just bought this, so I have no opinion on it yet, but the Sephora nearest me just got a Kula display, and Kula makes one of my favorite body sunscreens, and I saw that they had a makeup setting spray, and the setting spray has SPF 30. So I thought I would give this a go. It says to shake really well before you spray it. It definitely smells like sunscreen, but it's supposed to have aloe vera. Oh, it's stinging my eyes a little bit. Oh no. Definitely smells like sunscreen, but it also has aloe vera extract and hyaluronic acid for moisture. So I don't know, I thought it sounded cool, so I will continue to use this and let you know how it goes. And then for mascara, I know a lot of people tell redheads that you should only use brown, or at least like blackened brown mascara. I think that's personal preference. I love a good, really dark black mascara. So that's one I'm gonna use today, and I'm gonna use the Benefit Roller Lash. I have two final tips. The first is to find inspiration anywhere you can. I personally like to look at other YouTubers. I already mentioned Savannah. that. I also love Lauren from Redhead PhD. She and I started making YouTube videos around the same time, and I have just loved her since day one. I also like to ask other redheads I have had many conversations in the aisles of Ulta if I have ever met another redhead. It's just nice to talk to somebody else. You know, they have a lot of the same concerns, whether it be skincare or makeup, so sharing information. A good example is the nude shimmery lip that I wore in my 2 videos ago, and so many of you guys complimented me on it, but that is something I would have never purchased on my own. But that's the lip combination I asked Melissa from Citrine Beauty Bar. I asked her what she was wearing one day, and I just fell in love with that look. So that's not something I would have done, and it was a great recommendation from a fellow redhead, so I love that. And then last is celebrities. That's a great place to look for inspiration. I have a Pinterest board dedicated to it. I love Emma Stone. Probably my absolute favorite is Jessica Chastain. I think she is just a stunning woman. I also love her coloring, and she has a lot of fun with makeup. So finding inspiration from different celebrities. Jer and I are watching The X-Files right now, and Scully in the show has red hair, and we're on like season 3, and she's been really into these earthy tones and plummy reds and brick reds. So this color that I'm wearing right now is Maybelline's Touch of Spice, and this is my #1 favorite drugstore lipstick, and this is one I think I could see Scully wearing. One that's a little bit more red is from Bite Beauty. This is one of the buttercream lipsticks in Mocha, and this is another one that I think I could see Scully easily wearing. So this is my most worn nude lip lately, and this is the recommendation from Melissa from Citrine Natural Beauty Bar. I first take the Jane Iredale lip definer in Spice. I line my lips, fill it in, and then top it off with a little bit of the Snowberry lip gloss, also from Jane Iredale. And then my pink lip recommendation is Red Apple lipstick in the shade Audrey, and this is the most perfect pink lipstick ever. It's not too warm tone, it's not too cool tone, it's just a completely neutral lipstick, and it feels amazing on my lips. And every time I apply this, I just fall in love with it all over again. It's an incredibly moisturizing formula. It doesn't last super long, but it's one that I don't mind to reapply throughout the day. And then my last tip is to have fun and experiment. Makeup is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be a bunch of rules. And even the tips that I gave you today, these are just things that work for me. They might not work for you. It's good to play around, figure out what colors you like, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel pretty. And even me, sometimes I can just get stuck in these ruts where I just wear the same colors over and over again. So if you're experimenting and trying new things, I think it's really good. And even a month or two ago, whenever it first came out, I watched the entire series of The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Ellie Kemper, who plays the lead, has red hair in the show, and she dresses still like it's the 80s, and she wears this really fun lip color, and I thought, oh, I can't pull that off, I can't pull that off. But every episode I just kept admiring it, and I Googled it, and it came up with 2 different answers. I think in some episodes she's wearing a Sephora Collections lipstick, and then others she's wearing a NARS Audacious, and I knew I already liked that formula, so I ended up buying it. I just got it, I haven't even worn it out yet. It's in the shade Angela, which is incredibly out of my comfort zone, but I'll try it on for you really quick. So this is NARS Angela, definitely out of my comfort zone, but I think it's a cool color, and I think it'll be really nice come summertime, so maybe I will play with it a little bit more and come up with an eye look that I think really complements it well and wear it in a future video. That is all for my makeup tips for redheads, and don't forget to watch Savannah's video. I'm excited to watch that myself, and if you have any questions, leave them down below, and maybe I can do a follow-up video and answer those. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.